Hi Gemini, it's October 2018. I'm often accused of being a little too negative in my forecasts, but only because, if I go to the doctor and I've got something seriously wrong with me, I certainly hope he's going to tell me what's wrong and, most importantly, give me a prescription, a remedy for some medication that's going to help me. And I've looked at my role as an astrologer very much in the same way. I want to know that the forecasts I'm giving are based upon valid information astrologically that's going to help you avert some of those difficult circumstances in your life. And what better planet to start with than Saturn? Because if we have a look at Saturn, it's moving in a really critical part of your horoscope, and part of the horoscope that's often feared. So you've got the fearful planet Saturn traveling through this fearful part of your horoscope, the 8th house. That 8th house is very much concerned, it's concerned with the shared finances, money, banking, taxes, all that sort of stuff. It's the house of death, but I'm more interested now in terms of its relationship to your intimacy, sexuality, and your sexual relationship with your partner. It's early days. There's a 2.5-year transit in each sign, and so therefore at around 3 degrees of this part of your horoscope, it means it's just started. Although I must say we have talked about the transit of Pluto in this part of your chart, and that's also transforming things. Now Saturn will definitely put the brakes on, and it is really the karmic planet of constraint, restriction, a distancing of yourself from others. So the question is, how are you feeling about that part of your life? I'm not smiling because I'm making light of this. I'm smiling because I see this so often in many, many horoscopes. And it's more the case when Venus and Saturn have these contacts, or Venus and the ruler of your 7th house of marriage and partnerships, that's Jupiter in your case. When these planets make contact, that will be more prevalent when Venus swings around in a couple of months from now, and we'll get to that later in the year. But for now, I wanted to ask you that question. Fear is a component of Saturn's transit. And when we look at where it's transiting, this is really one of the most complex astrological houses. It's difficult to grasp what sort of effects we're going to see here. Usually it's a pulling back, it's a reappraisal, it's a questioning of your sexual values, the values of intimacy. Are you being sustained on that level? It's called the house of sharing. I alluded to the fact that it has to do with finances and that sort of thing. But it really does beckon you to question the quality of your intimacy. Are you feeling absolutely connected to the person? Some of you may be lacking in that intimacy because you may not even have a relationship. That is also sometimes part of this transit, because when you look at the fact that the previous 2.5 years, 2015, 16, 17, that period of your life, had transit of Saturn in your 7th house of marriage, some of you certainly would have had breakups, split-ups, segregation, and even if you're still in the same residence with someone that you've fallen out of flavour with, or they're no longer the flavour of the month, then of course the levels of intimacy are going to dwindle, and you're going to be left with that, what I call black heart. Now, what this is doing for you is actually asking you to get back into yourself and become intimate with yourself. People often think this intimacy, because it is a shared house, has to do with you and someone else in intimate relationship. We overlook the fact that the most important relationship in life is the relationship that you have with yourself. So this distancing, this contraction, this pulling back, this turning away, I think has a lot to do with yourself. Unless you can really become intimately connected again with yourself, what it is you desire, what it is that you hope to achieve in your life, then that's going to manifest in terms of the outer relationships that you have. Now, that may not be initially obvious, but I'd like you to think about that this month. It's an important month, and that 8th house transit, if, as what I learned in 1995 through the wise old man in India, Agni Sharma, he died a long time ago, but when I met him, he astounded me with his predictions, and he gave me some great insights as a mentor from one astrologer to another about Saturn, and that is that, you know, Saturn will only punish you, cause pain and suffering as a result of the resistance that you have. If you're resisting the experience of separation, of loneliness, of isolation, then you are going to find this a very, very painful period. If you're able, as he said, to acknowledge this state of affairs, this state of mind, and to really, really look at it, acknowledge that there's an issue there deep down, then he says that Saturn will actually bless you. You will come into an incredible new level of self-understanding. And that's precisely why I like to point out these things, not to hammer you, not to be negative, but to really turn your awareness back around into yourself so that you can cleverly undo these knots, these psychological complexes that are underlying many of your relationships. Not only those most intimate relationships in love affairs and marriage, business partnerships, but generally, feeling more intimacy in your social groups, with your family members. This is a planet that can isolate you so badly. And now also we see over the next year or so, when Saturn moves closer and closer to Pluto, this aggressively transformative planet, you will be forced to look at yourself and to understand why these things are happening. So please do so. Meditation, self-inquiry, psychological analysis, astrological readings if you wish, and I guess that is my little cue into the fact that we do have some amazing services at astrology.com.au. Myself, many of the associates that we have, they're very, very gifted practitioners, are all there waiting to help you, especially if you're finding it hard to turn that awareness back around into that self-intimacy. We can help you with that. It's the job of the astrologer to look at the chart and see what are the underlying causes of Saturn triggering these things in your life right now. That's astrology.com.au, and I'll be here again next month, same time. Look forward to your company again. Bye-bye for now.